Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154, where we are getting our first look at the premium Tier 8 Swedish heavy tank, the Bofors Tornvagn, that's coming to a loot box near you in Holiday Ops 2021. Having a look at this vehicle, it has a very familiar layout to the Concept 1B that was the Tier 9 reward tank that was featured as part of the... it was a season reward for Rank Battles 2020 and became available in the Bond shop in Rank Battles 2021. But in this case, this is not the Concept 1B, this is the Bofors Tornvagn. But still, very similar characteristics. This is a vehicle that's all about its turret. And its turret is a very small target, very hard to hit in the first place, and then even if you do hit it, will you actually pen it? Probably not. The thinnest part of the armor on this turret is just under here, where you need about 250 millimeters of penetration to penetrate that. And even if you do have your shell flying true, you still have to get past this big old muzzle brake. Look at this thing. This is just absolutely honking muzzle brake there. And I find this quite refreshing because I've spent an unhealthy amount of time in the MOUs lately going for personal campaign missions. One of the most annoying things about it is that you're most vulnerable when you're looking at the enemy, whereas in this case it's quite the opposite. You're at your strongest armor position when you're looking at the enemy. I find that very pleasantly refreshing. So yeah, we've got a great turret. Great hull down fighter. Even the upper frontal plates are quite tough as well. You've got these very thick slabs of armor here and here and here. Very difficult to go through. But one of the downsides to this tank is its gun accuracy. It's quite high, 0.42 meters per 100 meters, and the DPM suffers as well. Even though you're landing an average of 400 alpha per shot, you're only sending one of those shots down range every 14 and a half seconds. 15 seconds is the reload time on this thing. So you've got a couple of choices of things that you want to try and deal with. Mobility also suffers quite awfully on this tank. You've got a maximum forward speed of 32 kilometers per hour and a maximum reverse speed of 12 kilometers per hour. So that's probably going to be leaving folks thinking, do I want to get a turbocharger? Do I want to improve the mobility of the vehicle? Do we want to improve the gun handling of the vehicle? Do we want to enhance the likelihood that our shots every 15 seconds are going to hit? Do we want to try and get more shots down range? Do we want to reduce that 15 seconds to 13 and a half seconds by the addition of a gun rammer? Not an incorrect choice either. I personally, I've gone for trying to make those shots count. I've got improved ventilation. I've got improved aiming. I've also put a vertical stabilizer on. Now, compared to some of its peers, it doesn't have the worst dynamic dispersion characteristics. I think it's 0.14 on turret traverse and hull traverse, which is not too bad. Certainly better than a lot of its peers. But like every part of that counts really. Improved aiming has also been quite helpful as well. So we've been able to get that 0.42 meters per 100 meters of base dispersion down to about 0.38 meters per 100 meters. That's also in combination with the Brothers in Arms crew as well. So that gets it to a fairly respectable point. But as you can see, we're still fluffing shots that shooting at the undercarriage of a VK100P like that. We should have had a fairly high degree of confidence of a penetrating hit there, but unfortunately that didn't quite come off that time around. So you do all you like to it, the gun still has the ability to troll you. Do we necessarily want to strap a turbocharger onto this? Look, I think it'll be helpful, but we just need to also consider what you're giving up. You give you the ability to drive closer, maybe perform a little better in some of the dangerous crosses that are out there in the world of tanks. And then of course the gun ram, the existential debate: or do we put more shots down range? Do we make our shots count? Fortunately, there's a couple of things that go in your favour for making the shots count, and one of them is actually pretty good penetration values on this vehicle. The standard APCR flies through the air at 1,000 metres per second, and it penetrates 248 millimetres of armour. Now that's pretty good for a standard shell at tier 8. Now you can enhance that even further with the premium shell, 1,450 metres per second, and you're penetrating 297 millimetres of armour. And that's joining the cohort of tier 8 vehicles that are able to achieve penetration values that are at or pretty close to 300 millimeters plus, and that gives them that allows them to remain a fairly enduring threat even when it's facing tier 10 vehicles. But certainly the armor profile of Tornvagn enables it to survive in a hull down fight against a lot of tier 10 vehicles as well. So that's going to be very handy for it. So that's a win for us. We managed to cap them out despite best endeavours of the enemy Concept 1B there. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, so that is a victory for us. For our efforts, we picked up a level 2 mastery badge, which was the best mastery badge we got for the evening, and granted that was out of 3 battles, so I didn't have a hell of a lot of time to evaluate the tank before we had the ability to go live there. We haven't picked up any epic or battle heroes medals for that effort, but we have come away with the shell-proof medal, where we've the damage blocked has exceeded hit points of the vehicle, and also the fire for effect medal, where damage inflicted has exceeded the hit points of the vehicle. You have a decent hit point pool on this vehicle as well, at 1,600 hit points. I've seen some of my CC colleagues have strapped on hardening to try to enhance that a little bit further, but again, where I've pressed on is in terms of the gun handling and the ability to land those shots. So we've haven't taken any kills, but again, caused a decent amount of damage, blocked a heap of incoming, so we're quite happy with that. Having a look at the team scores, we've placed top by experience points in a bottom tiered situation as well. And having a look at the detailed report, bearing in mind I despite being a press account, it doesn't have premium account built in. But let's pretend for a second I was a free-to-play player. That was 30,000 credits that we'd pick up for our efforts there. It would be probably closer to 55,000 credits for that if we'd been running a premium account, given you'd earn 50% more credits on a premium account, and that would certainly keep us out of trouble. So I do have an article running on my Wix page at the moment, where I'm just still trying to accumulate and gather my thoughts on this vehicle. We do have a couple of others that we've got to review in quickfire succession. So just keep checking back at that Wix article. My sort of thoughts and opinions on the vehicle might sort of develop somewhat over the next sort of week that we're evaluating this vehicle. But third game's in, there's the initial impressions, and it has had a particular tendency to validate those impressions of being quite a competent hull-down fighter, but certainly a mobility and gun handling that certainly needs to be either managed or tolerated. In this case, I've chosen to tolerate the poor mobility and manage the poor accuracy in gun handling, and that seems to be working out pretty well for us so far. So thanks for swinging by and checking out my first impressions of the Bofors Tornvagn. Hopefully you can pick up one for yourself and form your own impressions in the Holiday Ops 2021 loot box, which should be going on sale in about 2 days' time. We'll see how you go. Take care out there.